Hey guys, it is Mike with the Come the Night. Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Music Snob. This is the show where people who follow me on Instagram and look at my story that I post can reply to one of those little question stickers and ask me anything they want to. I was doing that question sticker every Saturday, and I think I'm going to be doing it every couple of weeks because I get enough questions that I can make a couple of videos out of the number of questions that we get. And on top of that, it actually frees up some time for me to work on other projects and better projects for the channel. So alright, let's get into it. Fuck, marry, kill. Lizzie Hale, Amy Lee, Sharon DeAdel. Den Adel, is that how you pronounce it? Alright, marry Sharon Den Adel for sure. Fuck Lizzie Hale and kill Amy Lee. For the record, all of these ladies are absolutely lovely, very beautiful, very nice. How can you enjoy rap when you say music is more important than the lyrics? So here's the thing. I actually made a video asking or looking into whether or not rap is actually music. And I mean, that video is incredibly cringy. But basically what I got down to is rap isn't music or poetry. It's a musical type of poetry that's its own art form, at least in my opinion. So yeah, I enjoy rap, and not because I consider it music. And yeah, I take rap stuff on the channel and look at it specifically because colloquially people refer to it as music. But yeah, in my opinion, rap kind of transcends both music and poetry to be its own beautiful art in and of itself. How do you make a song cohesive rather than a collection of riffs and licks? There's a couple of ways of doing this. For one, make sure that whatever theme you're going with the song, everything fits into that theme. But secondly, also looking at how you transition from one part to another, music theory-wise is going on to connect your portions. In my song Gray Matter, I feel like I accomplished this pretty well. The intro kind of introduces our rhythmic themes, not so much our harmonic themes, but I guess a little bit the harmonic themes. And then we have our chorus, which then flows into a cleaner reinterpretation of that chorus theme. And then that goes into similar chords as what I was using before, and then a driving ahead, very simple all downstroke chug on the on power chords. I guess there's some triads in there too. Anyway, all I'm trying to say is tie it together. Whether that's doing a callback to a theme further back in the song, whether that's looking at how you connect things. Like later on in the song, after the second verse, I go from this really weird 7/feel of palm muted arpeggios, and then I go do a weird diminished thing that has a half step harmony right above it that goes right into this big Opeth sounding thing. The two parts don't seem like they would fit together at all, but if you connect it correctly, like I did with the half-step thingy, it'll work. And especially if you look at the lyrics, lyrically and musically, these things collided well. Do you think Brendan Small should have fought Adult Swim for Metalocalypse? No. One, he basically already tried, but two, he does not own the rights to his property. He signed a contract with Adult Swim saying that Adult Swim owns the property of Metalocalypse. He already did everything he could, and I'm sorry, this is another great example of when people say, oh, copyright protects the artists. No, it fucking doesn't. It protects the people who own the rights. I'm sorry, but in the philosophy that I come from, rights are not something that can be purchased or given. What are your thoughts on the negative connotation with metal music? Satanists gave metal a bad name, and the media in the 80s and 90s tried to keep it that way. Who would have thought that associating yourself with something evil would make people think that you're evil? Should the mixing of the song affect the overall creation and execution of a song? So typically you don't do any mixing until after you've already performed the song. I can see an instance where after mixing something you want to go back and try something new, but for the most part, mixing comes after all of that process. Do you like any Australian prog bands? Yeah, and that's something that's really surprised me. The number of awesome prog rock and prog metal bands coming out of Australia in the last couple of years has been incredible. Like you said, you know, Carnival, Caligula's Horse, you also got Nea Obliviscaris, You got James Ivani, you got friggin' Nick Johnston. Like, these guys shred so well. Do you prefer clean singing, screaming, or growling, and why? I prefer clean singing because I like my songs to have a melody, as is supposed to be a thing in Western music. After that, I would take growls, but growls throughout an entire song kind of become tiresome, especially if that's a whole album. Screaming is at the absolute bottom of the list. I hate most screaming. I think it's an extremely irritating affect to add to your voice, and it can be used tastefully. Doing it for an entire song 90% of the time is not tasteful. Do you think there is beauty in simplicity with music, or does complexity always win? So that's interesting that you say that. There are a number of simple songs that I find very beautiful, and I mean, I have a funny feeling you probably don't watch Song Suggestion Friday that much, because I go through a bunch of songs that I consider simple. A number of them I love, a number of them I hate. For me, what distinguishes that from something that just sucks is the nuance. There is, you could say, I guess you could use the word complexity in the nuance of something that is simple. So in that sense, I guess you could say complexity always wins, but I mean, I think nuance kind of transcends simplicity and complexity. Do you think that learning a song increases your appreciation for the song as a whole? That's a very interesting question. Sometimes it can really increase your appreciation of it, and you can actually appreciate other songs a lot more. Other times it demystifies things and takes away the magic, and sometimes you appreciate it less. I think if you really love a song, you should go out of your way to learn it, at least in some capacity. Will you going to play video games on your channels? I would love to play video games on YouTube in some capacity. I don't really have time to do it, and I can't justify getting a decent capture card. Not to mention, I can't justify spending all of that freaking money on systems and games. Like, holy crap. Me streaming video games would probably be a handful of free-to-play games and a bunch of Switch. That's it. Would you consider the Beatles the greatest band of all time? In my personal opinion, no, but at the same point, I can see people making that argument. The Beatles are arguably the most influential band of all time, and that is an argument or a metric that you could say makes them the greatest. But no, I think there's a bunch of better bands out there by any technical aspect, and definitely, I mean, maybe from a songwriting aspect, but then again, I mean, by the way, the Beatles are amazing songwriters, but, you know, a lot of these guys wouldn't have their tastes in writing without the Beatles as a foundation, so it's really tough to say, man. Is Another Brick in the Wall disco? No. I can definitely see people making that argument, and it's very close, but if it doesn't have cheesy strings that are completely needless, then not disco enough for me, sir. What's your opinion on the vinyl record comeback? I'll be honest, very surprised. My first instinct is to think that how popular it is a little stupid. I can absolutely understand why people like the sound of vinyl over, or even like tape, like good tape, over CD or especially MP3. My preference is almost always going to be CD, just because there's much more clarity. When you get to these analog formats, you lose some of the high-end clarity and crispness. And by the way, that can make some fantastic, warm, great sounds come out of other styles of music. Progressive metal, not really the best suited for vinyl. Until we can come up with a better medium for getting that really nice warm sound, because I mean, vinyl is so impractical, especially by any modern consideration. I'm happy that it's still around just so that people can appreciate good sound. At the same point, if you're buying bands who recorded everything digitally and are doing a whole bunch of electronic shit on vinyl, that's a little stupid. I absolutely love Periphery, and I actually got Juggernaut Alpha and Omega for my friend Lance, who is the older guy who loves prog metal now. I got him the vinyl of those albums. They sounded like shit. Granted, I think there was a huge problem with the mastering because they were very, very quiet. But yeah, I mean, they did not sound good at all. I was very excited to hear what it would sound like, and it did not sound good. The last thing I'll say about the vinyl records thing, if you're gonna be a vinyl collector, don't just sit there and collect vinyls and play them on your $100 turntable you got from Barnes & Nobles. You are sucking away any of the value of putting it on vinyl by listening to it from a built-in speaker on your shitty turntable. You need to invest some money into getting yourself a decent turntable with all the stages that go in between it and your receiver. Get a good receiver. Get some good speakers. My buddy Lance has a Sansui receiver. Don't remember what turntables he has. He has a couple turntables. He actually has a couple receivers too. And then he has stacked Advents. From the 70s, he bought them when he was a youngin', and he has kept them to this day. He actually repaired them himself. That's how you listen to vinyl. What level of Snob are you on right now? Deja vu, I just been in this place before. Higher on the street. That is it for Ask a Music Snob. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please follow me on Instagram. Also, I still have that t-shirt available if you guys want to buy it. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter. All that shit is at Become the Night. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next video. Rock on!